Hello and welcome to Athena's Creations 2017. I'm Athena Turk, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator since 2017, and I've got more cards to share with you with the Peace on Earth suite of products, specifically showing you some new fun folds, but what I've really been wanting to share and learn and share with you is how to make an envelope. How many of you have tons of retired cardstock, or you've got some cheap cardstock you used in the beginning before you found Stampin' Up's amazing products? This is a great way to use up some of that paper by making an envelope. And I've got all the directions. They're very simple. Yes, it's simple to make an envelope. And I'm going to share that with you along with a couple of fun cards, a quick card using this stamp suite, specifically the stamp set, Peace on Earth. There's Christmas, but there's also other greetings in there that you can use, and some fun tips and tricks and fun little things that I've learned with Creativity Now this past weekend with some Stampin' Up! Demonstrator friends. I've got a template to share, all the things, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Since I have a lot to share with you, I've got several cards, like I said, fun folds, a couple of techniques, and some other things in the works for later on. I don't know how long I'm going to feature this one, maybe one more week. I don't know. Maybe I'll dive into something else. As a stamper and crafter, I get very distracted easily, especially when I'm cleaning up and I'm eyeing a new stamp set that I want to play with. So who knows what'll be next week. Maybe some more with this one, or maybe I'll save this one for closer to Christmas. But we do have our Christmas in July next month. So if you want to come to a workshop that's in my home, we are featuring Christmas. And we're going to feature this stamp set bundle suite along with some other Christmas product that I think is in the last chance list. So if you want to attend that, reach out and I'll be sure and get you an invitation and all the details. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll turn the camera down and hopefully tonight there won't be any technical difficulties. At least that's the hope anyway. Let's see. Oh, I don't know if I got the camera too close maybe, but let's see if this will work. All right. Make sure you're focused here. There we go. There's that template. That you can probably take a screenshot from. Let's see. Just trying real quickly to get this centered here. I don't know how to edit my videos once they're on the live. I don't know how to edit that. If there's a feature on the iPhone and you know how to do it, I would love some help with that if you are techno inclined. Last week it did just fine, and I don't know what I did over the weekend to mess this up, but we're going to keep on going. All right. Hopefully that will stay put as we get started. So here is, hopefully you can see this. Maybe do a screenshot if you'd like. The envelope measurements works with any cardstock, designer paper, you know, any kind of paper that you want to use to make an envelope. The dimension or the measurements are 9 1/4 by 6 3/4, and on the 9 1/4 inch side you're going to score at 3 7 1/4. On the 6 3/4 side you're going to score a 1/2 inch on both sides. Now what that looks like is this. I've got several here. Okay, this is what it looks like. So this is the 6 3/4, and I've scored a 1/2 inch on each side. And then on the 9 1/4 inch side, I scored at 3, and then I scored again at 7 1/4. And that is the simple measurements to make an envelope. Now this one, you'll notice this is a lighter and this one's a darker color of Misty Moonlight. And that is because we have what's called two-tone cardstock now. This one's actually the Peaceful Days. It's got Cloud Cover, Crumb Cake, Misty Moonlight, Pecan Pie, Secret Sea, and White Willow. I love the two-tone cardstock. And there's a card I'm featuring toward the end tonight that is going to run it through an embossing folder, and it's really amazing what the paper can do. I think that's probably been shared by other crafters out there, but you can do a lot with the two-tone, and I really like that it's the perfect thickness. It's really a great tool to have. Now let's go ahead, since I've already measured and cut and I've scored it, I have made a template so that I will forever know how to make an envelope with any cardstock. And as you can see, that was bent back, so you can just kind of trim that up. Again, this is using regular cardstock. You can, the way it was shown to us was using the designer paper. And the short end is the top, and the bigger end is the bottom. And we're going to cut up to that score line. Snip off those sides. You could probably use that on some card later. In fact, one of the cards they showed us kind of reminds me of probably the perfect size that you could use for a card later using scrap pieces. I think that's ingenious when they share things like that. I love to learn and do new things and share them all with you. So of course, as soon as I learned how to do this envelope, I had to share with you. So we've got these couple more little pieces here that we're going to trim right off. Again, we're just going to trim up to that score line. And I'm only cutting on this side so you can hopefully see the score lines. Sometimes when you have this beautiful dark paper, it's hard to see. And then of course, this is going to be the outside of our envelope. So again, the short side, which is this side, is going to be the top. I don't know, left or right, how easy it is, but the top, I just kind of want to give a little bit of an angle. Now you don't have to, but it just makes closing it later a little bit easier. You could angle that a little bit more if you wanted. I think I will, just a little bit. There we go. And of course you could do the same thing on the bottom, but you're essentially going to fold the two sides in, and then you're going to glue the bottom half up. And you can kind of see how it kind of bends at an angle, so I definitely want to trim just a tiny little bit right here. Let me just double check that one more time. Yep, perfect. Now before you glue, you want to look and see, is there going to be an overlap? There might be a tiny overlap. So I think what I want to do again is just trim just the tiniest little bit. Now this part that I'm doing here is Crafter's Choice. I think I saw some really neat envelopes online where they did like a curve, they did a sharp cut. Again, these are just the basic measurements. So I know up to about here is where I'm going to have my adhesive. And I'm just going to use my snail. I've got my finger where I want the adhesive to go. I'm just kind of eyeballing this side. You can use tear and tape. In fact, that's probably a better idea, is to use some tear and tape. Okay. Just make sure that's folded down. There we go. And that is how easy it is to make an envelope. And again, it's kind of catching there on the side. So I'm just going to trim the tiniest little bit right there. There, now it's going to fold better. And this side has a tiny little bit as well. But super easy, right? I love that they share how to make envelopes. Now, when you have something gorgeous like this, or even this beautiful piece right here, the two-tone cardstock, which is really perfect for envelopes, you're going to need a really nice label, customized label. That way, the post office will deliver it to the correct address. So again, here's the measurements if you wanted to do a screenshot. Okay, really nice. And of course, it's going to fit our beautiful card, which is a fun fold card, and using gorgeous ribbon. Really nice. And you guys know how much I love fun folds. I love learning new things, and this has been such a fun thing to learn. Again, I just had to share that with you. So here's a template, like I said, that I'll keep forever. I probably could have used some older retired paper or whatever, but I don't know. I like to be able to see what I'm doing these days. I guess the older I get, I want more light. I want to be able to see things. So we're going to go ahead and this is just an idea for you if you wanted to screenshot that. Alrighty. Basically, once you've got it trimmed. Now this one, you'll see the template, it's more angled here, and I found that it was harder to put some adhesive, which is why I left this one pretty much squared off on this one. But the template, you can kind of see, I squared it off a little too much. But anyway, this is a great thing to learn. And I love to share with y'all when I learn something fun and new. And of course, we've got this gorgeous card. It's a fun fold using designer series paper and this beautiful, beautiful ribbon. So this is DSP, that's 12 by 4. So with one sheet of 12 by 12, you'll be able to get 3 fancy fold or fun fold cards. On the 12-inch side, you're going to score it 2 and 7.5. That's the easy measurement there. We've got some little techniques and blending with the blending brushes. I'm going to go ahead and open this so you can kind of get an idea of what's on the inside. I should have written down the presenter's name, but they were all so fabulous, and some artisan designers. It was really great to learn new things. Now this one, you can treat it as a tag. You open it up and, ooh, isn't that pretty? Oh, I just love that. So we've got a lot of fun making this card tonight. And you can do this with any suite of product. I think that some designers decided to use adhesive. I didn't. I just thought it was fine just like that. But it is adhered down to the tag. And the tag, I realize now, I only put adhesive on one side. But that's okay, because if I messed up, I would have room to maneuver around. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's stamp and put this one together. I'm pretty sure I have everything except for this little tag to share with you, because, you know, that was something I thought would be handy and useful. And what I did was I got my adhesive sheets out, okay, because this is that beautiful new in color, Secret Sea, one of my favorites. It's a really dark color, but this little die cut piece is so tiny. I did not see good fortune with adhesive, so I decided to use the adhesive sheets. So I'm going to run that through the little mini machine, and I'll probably do a couple of them. But we've got this beautiful Dove, and it just dawned on me I didn't run one through for this one, so I need to run this one through with you as well. So that's okay. I normally do most of this ahead of time just to save some time, but sometimes I want to do this to share with you how I did it, or just how easy it is to use the little mini machine. And so I want to use a white scrap here somewhere. Let's see. Yep, let's just use this scrap right here. Normally I would measure it and trim it, but I'm just going to do that. And we're going to run that one through. Actually, we're going to run them both through together, just because we can. Hopefully this is clear and not blurry. Sometimes videos can be blurry when you bring something in and it's a little close, but hopefully this will work. You can see the glare of my light. Sorry about that. Okay. And the table shakes. Okay, so I love the little mini. It is like less than 5 pounds. It is easy to maneuver. It is easy to use. I've had it ever since it first came out. There was a couple of learning curves, but super simple once you figure all that out. All right, we're going to use this one for the inside. I'm going to show you a trick on that too. Okay. So the bottom plates, all of these are aligned together. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset the top plate just a tiny little bit, maybe an inch or so, right? So it's not flush completely. And it's just going to go through so easy. Just like that. Sorry about the shaking. It's also on top of the table that I'm using. I just went over it twice. Normally you don't have to, but since I'm live, I didn't want to have any mishaps. So hopefully that will, and you can see that it's in there, the little piece there. And so what I like to do with my machines, my emboss machines, when the plates get used, I replace the top one with the bottom one when it's time to use get a brand new plate. Now this one I've used a long time, and you can see both sides have got lots going on, but they're still good. Now when they start to bow, I flip it, and then through use it kind of flattens it out again. So I do get a lot of use out of my plates. And so plate number 2, when I replace it, this top one that I'm using doesn't have any of those indentions, or whatever you want to call that. It doesn't have that. So when I run my dies and my cardstock through, it doesn't have this impression on the piece, which is why I try to cut my paper as close to the die cut as possible so that you don't have any of the markings. Although when you have the top plate that doesn't have the markings like this one, it's nice and clear and you don't see it. But just some tips there. And then when I store both my mini, this one, and the big Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, I like to store them with the plates in the middle, just like that. I don't know if it helps, but it feels like it helps keep them straight and flattened out. Now I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool, but I think first what I'm going to do is share with you what I learned. One of those on-stage events, I saw a demonstrator or somebody said, hey, you're having trouble, just throw it down. And so that's what I did. Now this one I could do the same, but it is super tiny. And it's the tiniest little leaf, which can fit in the dove's mouth. Hopefully we will not lose that. All right. Now we've got a little technique we're going to do. Put those together because that's going to be for the inside card piece. And I've already die cut this out, and you could probably see the tattered part of the edge of the back of this, which is that bottom plate. That's what I'm, pardon me. That's what I mean by it leaves an indentation, excuse me, in your paper. And we don't want that if we can help it. So for this piece, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our Balmy Blue and my scrap paper that I use quite often for a lot of these projects, which is well loved. And then usually there's nothing, you can see there's nothing on there. I'm just going to start with my Balmy Blue, and I'm going to start off the paper, and I'm just going to bring in some of that color. It's a really light color of blue. But you can see these little like blotches there, sometimes with the darker ink colors. And it tends to do that when you start directly on the paper. You can also use it to kind of burnish the outside edges to give it a little color. You can do the same thing with your, what are those cute things called? Those little bitty, they're like finger puppets. But yeah, I think you know what I'm trying to say. All right. Now, I think I picked up some yellow there somehow, but that's okay, because part of that is going to be covered. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this. And another tip is when you're putting this one together, you want to make sure you've got enough room for the Peace on Earth, which I need to make sure is cleaned. I've been using lots of different blue colors. Just make sure that's clean. There we go. And it's possible we might have to trim the bottom piece just a tiny bit. Let's just see. The great thing about the Peace on Earth is it's clear. Actually, I'm going to stamp first, because then I'll know if I need to trim that one down. We're going to use Misty Moonlight. I love that this is photopolymer. You can see exactly where you're stamping. And just like the sample, we're going to stamp toward the bottom, getting the earth part as far down as possible. Just hold it down for a couple of seconds to let the ink soak in. Beautiful. Now let's test this out. I'm going to trim it a tiny little bit. So always double check things like that before you put your adhesive down and then try to stamp. I think some of us Saturday were having some issues with that. So just a tiny little bit, like that first little mark there. Just the tiniest little piece. That should do it. And this, by the way, is, pardon me, I thought I had that close by. It's the glimmer paper that's part of the suite. It is gorgeous. It's cloud cover, but it kind of reminds me of silver a little bit. Okay. Hopefully I don't mess this up. I'm just trying to find that nice middle ground here. That's really close. Okay. So next, something too that one of the artesian designers had done with the dove, and I thought, oh, I should have thought of that, because you know that's really smart, right? I decided to get my Stampin' Write markers out, and the new Darling Duckling is kind of a yellow. And the beaks usually have a little bit of color. And so I just put a little tip on it for that. And then our Secret Sea, another favorite. It's going to be the eye, or the little eyeball on there. Okay? Which is what I did on my card. This one I'm definitely going to put up on a dimensional. And I have lots of dimensionals, but when I need them, I can't seem to find them these days. There we go. And before I put this on, I want to work on some of the other elements of this card, like the inside. Let me show you what I did. We've got the love, peace, love, and joy that we're going to stamp on the bottom. And then this piece that I die cut out with just a few minutes ago, I'm going to turn it the other side, because when I'm done, this side will have that beautiful balmy blue, but this will still be white, and I could use it perhaps on another card. You could do this on your envelopes too if you wanted. If you've got, you know, white envelopes, you could definitely do something like this. So again, I've got my balmy blue. Just pick up some color. I'm just going to hold it down. And just go around this dove. Oops, I moved it, but that's okay. There we go. Bring in some more color. Basically just want to concentrate the color around it on the outside. You could probably put like a little glue dot to hold it in place if you wanted. And I used balmy blue because it's the light, soft color that coordinates with the entire suite. And you can just rub off that excess color on the back because nobody's going to see it. It blends very well with your cardstock and your designer paper. And next we're going to stamp the Peace, Love, and Joy in Misty Moonlight at the bottom. Okay. One more time. Photopolymer, I can see where I'm stamping. I absolutely love that. And whether you have a juicy ink pad or a not so juicy ink pad, when you're stamping, you want to make sure you leave that down for a couple of seconds to allow the ink to soak in. Now, while this is drying over to the side, so that's going to go to the inside of our card, let's go ahead and fold the pieces here. Now the short side is going to be the top. And remember, this piece of designer paper is 12 by 4, scored at 2 inches and 7.5 inches. I went ahead and I pre-cut and also ran this through the embossing folder ahead of time, because this one's going to go down just like that. And although the original is absolutely gorgeous with that ribbon around the card, to me that's a lot of use for ribbon. And so instead of doing that with this card, I'm going to change it ever so slightly. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this one down flat. I didn't with my original just because I was going to use the ribbon. And then this one, we're going to adhere just the top portion. That looks like the sweet spot. So I'm going to hold down the one side, lift this side up, and then just apply that adhesive to that top part only. Okay, just like that. Ooh, I have a little give there, thankfully, because I forgot. I wanted to kind of show how you can make it look like it's going all the way around, but it's not really. And let's just guesstimate about 2 inches approximately, because I want it to, in fact, I'm going to use glue dots because I want it to stay in place. Every time I open a roll, they seem to have it either on this side or this side, and I can never keep up. They change it all the time. All right, so I'm going to put a glue dot on the top. My Take Your Pick tool is going to hold up the cardstock. Well, it was right at the top. And we're going to get another glue dot. For the inside. Just like that. So it looks like it's going around, but it's not. Not really. We can use that one on the next card. Just need a tiny bit. And then of course I'm going to want to have the tie at the bottom. We're going to go ahead and adhere our inside piece. You don't need a whole lot of glue, contrary to popular belief. A nice fun fold. Now I do want to share with you something too, that they had the Take Your Pick tool accessory, but I have this punch pack, the Hole Punch Assortment, which is an online exclusive. Unfortunately, it is temporarily unavailable. It will be coming back like in July, I think, yeah. They have the 1/8 of an inch, and then they have this decorative piece here. I'm actually going to use this slit, and it's a tiny little punch, which is where you would normally have your ribbon. Now, since it's hard to see, what I like to do when there's something that tiny is this is about the middle, right? So that little dot is about the middle. So now I'm going to bring this in. I know exactly where I want to punch, and it'll punch it right out, just like that. Super, super easy. Now, I don't know that I necessarily needed to do that with this one, because I'm going to put my bow. I'm going to tie a bow. Actually, you know what I want to do? I just want to have a little bit of, yeah, let's change it up. That's my ribbon scissors. So see, we'll have a little something there to tie it off. I think that's going to look good. The trick on this one, of course, is glue dots. Just one glue dot is all you need. Just like that. And a tiny little bit of ribbon. So you have these tiny little pieces of ribbon, perfect for that. So it looks like it went all the way around, but it did not. So you could do this and make multiple cards without the worry that you'll run out of ribbon. Because again, this card, absolutely gorgeous, but I don't know that I would have time to make all my cards with this gorgeous bow like that. So that's a fun way to do that alternatively. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my cute little dove on the dimensional and about midway. And that's where we're going to get this tiny piece that we die cut together, because I don't have the patience when something is this small to use the liquid glue. I almost need a magnifying glass. All right, there we go. I'm going to take that adhesive off. And there we go. Just like that. Voila. Save all those pieces for later. So I love this alternative card. Absolutely gorgeous. And of course the envelopes. Absolutely gorgeous, right? Matching envelope. Gorgeous. Absolutely love it. All right, so next, let's move on to the next project. I can't wait to see what all you guys make with us, so be sure and share. All right, so the next one is a really simple card. I don't know about you, but sometimes I buy paper that I don't have the suite just because the paper can do so much for a card. And that's what I did with this one. I believe this is the recently retired Boho Blue, but I'm using Misty Moonlight for the hugs, big hugs for a good friend, and heartfelt prayers. Again, all from the Peace on Earth suite and bundle that will be available in the September through December catalog. One of the many perks of being a demonstrator, I get to pre-order, so that's kind of what I did. This is the Mixed Media Designer Series paper, and the card front and the inside is cut at 5 1/4 by 4. A simple card, absolutely gorgeous. Let's see, what did I do with my bone folder? I thought I had it here. That's what I get for cleaning my desk this weekend. I can't find it. I'm sure it's here somewhere. Oh, it's right there on the side. There we go. And it helps to burnish the score lines, make it a little bit easier. Designer Series papers, so you can see the beautiful inside and outside. I love that there's the cute little ladybugs. We should always stamp first, and most of the time I would say that's true. Hopefully we don't mess up. I think this one I held it or moved it or something. It looks kind of different. I mean, it doesn't look bad, it just looks different. But we just want to be careful when we're stamping. Most of the time we stamp on white paper that we can just turn it right over. If we mess up, just pick up some of that ink, find where you want it to land, and this soft press down securely and gently. Let that ink soak in. While that one's drying, we're going to stamp the inside piece, Big Hugs for a Good Friend. Sometimes you have a friend who's going through something and you don't have a lot of words. This is the perfect card just for that occasion. Big hugs, wish you were here, you know. Not a lot of room for a whole lot of sentiment, but that's okay. Sometimes that's all you need. It's just a really nice card you want to share with a friend. And this one's very easy to duplicate. And this is one of those where I just bought the paper. I didn't buy anything else in the suite. I guess because I kind of had this idea in mind, and then this stamp bundle came out, and it was like, oh, this is perfect. And this one, I believe, is part of that buy one, get one 50% off toward the end of June. So that's coming up next Monday, will be the last time. If you have a suite in your cart of product, and then you put this designer paper, it'll be the designer paper. Whatever's lesser will be half off. So just be aware of that. If you have any questions, just reach out, and I'll do my best to help you. All right, of course, we've got these beautiful Hues of Blues flowers. So I want to bring in this beautiful dark flower. And then 2 of the lighter blue, kind of off down to the side. Just to give it a little something. And there's a very simple, nice card. And again, the measurements for this one is the regular A2 card size. Your DSP for both the inside and the front is 5 1/4 by 4. Next is another really nice and simple card that they showed us how to do at Onstage, or not Onstage, Creativity Now. I might have said that earlier and I misspoke if I did. Now this one, they did some blending brushes and things like that, and it looks fine. And apparently they did some tearing of the paper, which that's fine. I tear on occasion, but I really changed this one up, and I actually added the ribbon instead of this fine stuff that, you know, as we get older, sometimes working with something that small is just a monumental task, and I try to ease into making this fun and trying to mess with that string. It's not fun sometimes. So I went ahead and started to fold the ribbon, because this ribbon is gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. And then the little pieces, I don't know how many times we've got all these tiny little pieces left over, right? And if you're like me, you don't throw anything away for a long time, so it's sitting around and you get tired of finding little baggies to put them in. But this is a great idea for some of those scraps for a very basic plain card. I just added some fun stuff to it. And so that's DSP, it's 3 1/2 by 3/4 of an inch. So you can see there's lots of extra there. And then I went ahead and die cut out these 2 pieces. Again, they did the little blending brush, which you have to be very careful, but no biggie. I'm not going to do that on this card. I want this one just to be a pure white, simple card. A simple A2 card. Often in my uplines workshops, when I would go, I would see her sample, and on although absolutely gorgeous card, I would change it up, make it my own. Just something that I have done a long time. Just be aware that if you have anything on your workspace, it's going to get on your card, especially when you're working with white, which I tend to do in Christmas cards. So just be aware of that. Not that it might matter to you or anybody else, but when I have directional paper, I like to make sure it's the direction it's supposed to go. I noticed there were a few samples out there that didn't, but again, crafter's preference. No right or wrong on that one. Ooh, this other side is cute. It's got the doves. And I saw a sample too where they use that for the piece. Ooh, like that. Isn't that pretty? Ooh, that's really cute. But the way this card is, it would cover that up. But I might save that for a different card. Always possibilities here. Okay. And there's that piece. All right. So normally I would say stamp first. There's always a fix if I do mess up. And I've done that before. I've shown you the fixes. For this one, I want to go ahead and put this one piece down first. And then I'm going to stamp. Crazy, right? All right. This is going to be my guide. And again, there's no right or wrong. You could have all 3 here at the top, and then your sentiment, it's crafter's choice, basically. That's kind of my new saying now, crafter's choice. All right, so unfortunately, the older we get, sometimes we need this particular sentiment, which I thought was right here. What in the world did I do with it? The, did it get put back on the block? Oh, it did get put back in. Oops. go. With deepest sympathy. Pardon my reach as I get a block. Deepest sympathy. All right, so I'm gonna, this looks kind of off. This looks off. Shouldn't matter, but for some reason it looked off to me. Okay, with deepest sympathy. Yeah, I think as I was saying earlier that unfortunately as we age and get older, we seem to have more occasions for cards like this one. With deepest sympathy. Just happen to have a circle. Sometimes if I haven't stamped it lately, I just kind of want to make sure it's gonna, yep, it is. It just didn't look right on the stamp, but so I could layer this with something later. I'll just save that one. But yeah, sadly we need these sometimes. With deepest sympathy. Now, again, in case if I had messed up or I didn't like the impression, it wasn't dark enough or something, I could come back with this piece that I had stamped and just go ahead and put in my cardstock, and then I could have put that on top. So there's always a fix. So I always like to make sure I let you guys know. Now this one, again, kind of crafter's choice. I think for this one, I want it to be a little bit closer to the top. I think that's good there. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the adhesive. Just like that. All right. Now this one, super tiny. So I'm going to bring in these flat adhesives. Get these in our card kits and Paper Pumpkin. They always send lots of, you have plenty, in other words. You have a lot of these. Add this on just a couple of places. Just the same right there. All right, let's go ahead and put this one on. This is one of those delicate dies that you could probably use the adhesive sheets, but I think it's just fine. Just like that. Just these two pieces. I like using the blending brushes like they did for the original card, but I sometimes like just a plain, simple, clean card, and I think that's what this one is. Clean and simple. Okay, so it's overlapped just a tiny bit, and that's perfectly fine, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ribbon like right there. Again, both cards are nice and clean and simple, and the blending is fine, but I think it's cleaner this way, and so that's kind of what I'm going to go with. And I'm going to use a glue dot to hold it in place. And then I'm going to trim the excess of the ribbon. Just like that. Okay. Nice, simple card with sympathy. And then we've got these embellishments. And really and truly, you don't even need the leaves. You don't need the ribbon. You could just have those pieces, maybe even a fourth piece. You could make like I said, you could have different pieces all throughout and then put this one on top without any ribbon or embellishments. You could totally do that. Another clean card that you can do. I'm going to put that white flower on the blue. And then a small misty moonlight and the lighter color, blue. But again, you don't have to have, for this type of card, you don't need all that bling unless you're like me and you overdo it. Now on this one, I did use a glue dot underneath each side of the ribbon to kind of hold it down on the card. Because if that bothers you that this one flips up, you can do that. This also frays a little bit if you're not careful. There. It's a cleaner cut. Another really nice card. And then this card, the artesian designer Stacy Marsh. I wrote her name down so I could make sure I could give her a shout out. Stacy Marsh, the artesian designer, showed the two-tone cardstock. And so what I did with mine, as you can see, is I went ahead and used, what do we call this? This stuff that, sandpaper, right? That you get for woodworking. You don't have to do that if you don't have that. When you have the two-toned color, the dark side, the lighter side, this is what happens when you use your embossing folder. It kind of gives that sanded look already, which I think is just fascinating, right? So that's me adding some extra. And then this is what it looks like when you just run it through the folder. So this two-tone cardstock is worth the investment. Now I did kind of wanted to add some more. So I got my little sanding. This is not even a block. This is just some piece of extra that my husband had in the garage. I told him I just need it for my paper crafting. There's some techniques out there. And he's like, oh yeah, I've got the perfect thing. And you don't need to do a whole lot. Because like I said, the embossing folder with this two-tone color like that, it'll do this already for you. So it's really cool. So another technique, fun thing I wanted to share. And this is that gorgeous new in color cloud cover. This is not a fancy fold. I realize I probably could have turned it into one now that I'm thinking about it, but I do love me a fancy fold. This one's really, really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on the front. And if you did want this one to be a Christmas card, you could turn it this direction. Big hugs for a good friend. Sympathy card, possibly. But we're going to do the Peace on Earth, and we're going to layer it with the Secret Sea. All right. Let's see, Peace on Earth. Here we go. And again, we're going to use Misty Moonlight. We're going to stamp toward the right side of the tag. Press down firmly, let that ink soak in. Pardon me. We have one more card after this one. And this one, I'm just going to go ahead and layer it flat. Just like that. Make sure that's still on the track there. And then we're going to put dimensionals on this one. You could do as many as you want. 3 is sufficient for me. And that's something too. that I only get from Stampin' Up! Is, I mean, obviously pretty much everything, but when it comes to dimensionals, they're not all the same. The stuff you get in those box stores, they don't stick very well. These are the best, absolutely the best, promise you. Well worth it. Okay. Now we're gonna add a little tiny bit of adhesive here in the corner for our dove that's die cut in Cloud Cover Glimmer paper. You can see all the really pretty colors. That's the Misty Moonlight, the blue, and then this one is Cloud Cover, which looks like silver, and then this one is the new Secret Sea. So that Glimmer paper pack is part of this suite. And this is one of those I would encourage you, if you're interested in, excuse me, getting this, get the suite. That way you get the ribbon, you get the paper, you get it all. I have just enough ribbon, I'm pretty sure. Let's try it again. We've got 2 rabbit ears. I'm going to cross them over. And then we're going to tuck the top one under and pull it through. It's so tiny. Where did it go? There it is. And then I'm just going to keep pulling that tiny little bit. Where'd it go? We're going to start over. That's okay. This is enough to make a bow. Believe it or not, it is. It's like 10 inches, so make 2 rabbit ears. Cross the rabbit ears, tuck the top one under, pull it through. You can see it's framed just a tiny bit, but that's okay, because I want to tighten it. Just keep pulling that through, keep working it. Okay, almost there. All right, there we go. But that's okay that it's framed. We can fix that. All right, again, I just want to use a little glue dot kind of at the side down here. And now I'm going to trim the ribbon because I want it to make sure it stays within the confines of the envelope. Just like that. And I want it to be separated out. So I'm going to go ahead and use a glue dot. Hold it down in place. Which is what I did with that one. And this one's fine. And this is beautiful. Peace on Earth. This might actually be one of our Stamp-A-Stack maybe next month. Maybe, we'll see. You have to tell me what you think. All right, and next is another fun card that I had never done anything like this, and it was so fun and cool. I wanted to share it with all of you. Again, we've got Cloud Cover for our card base. It's going to open up A2 card. We've got this piece of, I believe it's 3x3. Yep, 3x3 cardstock. That side is absolutely gorgeous. In fact, I think I'm going to use that side because I used this side on this card. And that's me, always changing things up. That's okay. I've always been that way. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our stamping, okay? Now I went ahead and die cut this one out already, and it's just going to layer right on the top. We've got all our little pieces here. Just layer that right on the top. And then something else I learned too, which was really good advice. If you use the liquid glue and you've got a little space, you just put a tiny little drop of glue in the center, because then when you press down, the glue is going to spread. And so that made sense to me. So I want to pass that along. I personally get frustrated with the green glue because, again, you use too much, it just gets everywhere. It really does. Oh, I was supposed to stamp first, but that's okay. Sending love. I'm thinking I'm going to change that one up as well. Heartfelt prayers. Let's go with, instead of sending love, big hugs for a good friend. And then we're going to stamp the heartfelt prayers on this piece. And this is a sheet of white cardstock, 3 by 1 1/4. Again, we're using heartfelt, or we're going to use the heartfelt prayers stamp in the Misty Moonlight ink. And this is on white, so for some reason we didn't stamp it firmly enough. We could turn it over and redo it. That looks okay. By stamping first, we're letting the ink dry on the paper, because again, when we use beautiful dark colors like this one, sometimes it will smudge if it's not completely dry. Is that gonna fit? Yeah, it should fit. Whew, barely, right? Yep, barely, but it did, yay. So you could definitely interchange the sentiments with this one. Heartfelt prayers with deepest sympathy could be on the outside, and the heartfelt prayers could be on the inside, vice versa. Let that dry. We are going to bring in this light color flower for the middle edge there. Where's my dove? Well, the one we die cut earlier, we're just going to use that one instead. How about that? So let's go ahead and do the little bit at the beak, the darling duckling, and secret C for the eye. Just a tiny little dot. That's perfect, right? And we're going to put this one on dimensionals, or a dimensional, which I had here just a second ago. Do you do that where you're stamping and you lose your glue dots or your dimensionals? It really was just here. House. Oh, they're right in front of me. Oh my goodness. Wow. They were right here on the desk the whole time. Oh, how funny. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and put our card together. We've got this beautiful secret seed, little tiny piece here. Again, how many of these little pieces do we get? This is 2 by 3/4 of an inch, it looks like. Then we got this tiny piece that we ran through the embossing folder already. 3/4 of an inch by 1 3/4 approximately. And what we're going to do is, I call this building my card first before I add the adhesive. Let's just use take your pick tool, pick that up with the gummy part. Sometimes I'm all thumbs. And we're just going to lay this down here, kind of how we want it to look before I put any adhesive on here. Kind of line that up kind of like that. And then this piece is going to be on top of that. And then this one's going to be on dimensionals. I think what I'll do is I'll bring it up just a tiny bit. Yeah, so I'm changing this up a little bit, just a little bit. I tend to do that. I think I've mentioned that before. All right, so this is in a good location. I like where this is at. So I'm going to hold down one side and get my adhesive going. And at this point, it's crafter's choice if you want to change your card up. I love seeing what everybody does differently. There's so many fun ideas out there. All righty. And there we go. You almost didn't see that because it's cloud cover on cloud cover, but it looks amazing. Okay. This one, like I said, we're going to use the opposite side. I absolutely love this. I'm very excited to see what other new Christmas will be in the new mini catalog that this paper will coordinate with. This will be a perfect night sky. And so, although symmetrically that looks great, I kind of want to have it up a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and put the dimensionals on here. This one is directional, so again, I don't know if that bothers you, but if it's directional, I like it to go on where it's directional. But since this side is going to be what we use, we just want to make sure the bottom has 3 dimensionals, so that when we slide in our greeting, it's not going to fall down the bottom, fall out. All right, so I'm going to want one at the top here and one at the top there. That's so cute. Oh, I didn't even show you how that worked, right? It comes out like that. It's so cute. I've never made a card like this. So again, it was so fun. I just had to share it with y'all. All right, so it's coming in this direction. That's important when you're putting your dimensionals on, that you don't put it in the section where the little piece is gonna, the big hugs is gonna come through. Take all these little pieces off. All right. There, I wanted to have like a little bit of a layer there. And so this one, again, there's always little things like, oh, I didn't get ink all the way to the side. Well, glue dots are great fixers for that. To hold that in place. Same for that side. There we go. So it's still part of your card, but you got a little bit showing so you know, oh, that piece comes out. Because some people, believe it or not, will not know that that comes out. Oh, I'm loving how this card just came out. Okay, yeah, this looks good. Isn't that beautiful? So simple to make too. Love that. So fun. Sending love, heartfelt prayers. Yeah, see, it could go on that side. That's why I put that dimensional over there, so it wouldn't do that on this card. Big hugs for a good friend. Super fun. So there's going to be some 3D projects that I'm going to share a little bit later, but I wanted to share these tonight, the cards, the fun designs, all the tips and tricks and things, easy cards, using beautiful designer paper, letting that designer paper do all the work for you. And then, of course, sharing how to make the envelope, because that's really cool too. The two-tone color envelopes are awesome. And then how you have to have that ribbon all the way around for your card, just like that. So more fun. And again, I don't know if I'm going to continue with this one or if I'm going to start with something different. I do have Christmas in July that I'm going to be prepping for using some materials from this suite. So stay tuned for that and reach out if you're local to me and would like to join next month, July the 19th, for our Christmas in July card workshop. Thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. Happy stamping.